Hello. Good morning. Happy, what's today? Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Hello, Laura, Angel, Aaron. Hello, friends. Good to see you. Hello. Hello, Julie. Hey, Kia. Good morning. Guten Morgen. Hey, Ambrosia. Actually, I'll be right back. I realized something. Okay. Anyone get sleep? I hope so. It's been tough. Not as much. Not as much as I'd like. Hello, Clara. Yesterday I was doing things, then going hide and cry so my kids wouldn't see it again. Been a while. Dallas Police Chief finally said the quiet part out loud. Hello, Silver. Yeah, what did the Dallas police chief say? Dallas police is working with ICE. Yeah, unfortunately, I wish that were a surprise. Wish that were a surprise. Better find the broccoli. And the police are the enemy of the people too. To be fair, there's argument to say the police have been the enemy of the people always. Not always, not all police, but in general. How is it legal for ICE wearing patches that say police? That's a good question. It shouldn't be. I've been saying ICE I've been saying forever that ICE uses different tactics in Texas. They don't come here because they never leave here. I'm not sure you're missing comments again. I think mine shows comments that I think I can see some comments that end up getting filtered. I'm not even sure why they're getting filtered, but I think I'm just getting to see them and I'm not realizing that they're getting filtered. Video clip of the cops running ICE off and saying they think they're, yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's not that all cops are bad. I've known quite a few good cops. You have to select all messages. Oh. Interesting. Oh yeah, look at that. That's dumb. Why would it start with top? That's stupid. Well, I fixed it. What's up, Patrick? Morning, Ash. Ones in blue states can also be bad. There are. I wish it were just red states. That would make it feel like an easier fix, but it should. Does at the top of the chat, does it give you does it say like, do you see top chat at the top of the chat or something like that? On the right hand side. Oh, I don't know. I haven't looked at it on an iPad, so I don't know. The levels icon. There you go. The Ford employee is about to be rich. NYC cops are not exactly good. I've had almost zero positive interactions. Few I've known well were. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The problem with any of those positions is there is always danger in those kind of positions, in any of those kind of positions, law enforcement of any kind, to get really bad people that want power. The problem is you can get people that are so on the police force, and now ICE is getting the people that aren't even good enough to be on a police force. Like, they weren't good enough to be on military. They weren't good enough to be in any of the 3-letter agencies. They weren't even good enough to be in a police force. Those are the people that ICE are getting. That's why we're dealing with what we're dealing with. Oh yeah. You see them talking, you can tell that they are weak little children. You can tell. Is obviously not the worst thing, but when that's said casually to friends. No, I hear you, Ambrosia. I hear you. That's why, Clara, I say that these guys have got John Wayne complexes. They think they're all that in a bag of chips. And many are quitting. Yes. And what's happening is they're pretty much lowering their standards to people that are just that are ideological followers. Yeah, I saw that, Silver. So you're moving from people that are just semi-qualified, but their humanity is saying that they can't handle it anymore, to people that have no humanity or empathy at all. The more you live in fear, the more you need security. Yeah. I have not heard of anything, Ambrosia. By the way, hi Nadia, how are you? Welcome. We're just admitting these psychologists are needed with the whole protect and serve. I mean, that is why that's why Mamdani wants to do what he wants to do with the police force. Seventy two disabled and can barely walk, but I can do the sit-ups and push-ups. Yeah. Yeah. I saw a video of a woman who started in San Diego, who was picked up while going for her green card because she was married to an American citizen, and basically brought her lawyer there. And while after asking all the questions, they detained her. And she's telling her story. I'm trying to get her on the podcast to talk about it, but we'll see. We shall see. Had to do way more than that in basic. We need a whole specialized group of psychologists for these people. We are going to be spending a decade dealing with the ramifications of this. We're gonna need thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of, like, you know how we need a bunch of electricians and plumbers, like we're running out basically of qualified, trained electricians, plumbers, just the basic. I think counselors, psychologists, those are going to be more than, those are going to be needed in droves after this administration. Hi, Linda. Good morning. I heard something telling. A post talks about ICE being sacrificial lamb to ramp up even more police action. You know, here's the thing. I don't know. It's easy to say. It doesn't matter. If I'm being honest, at least I don't think it matters. In the end, what I think we need to do is exactly what I've been saying we need to do. Stay informed, keep having conversations, form community, vote. And if things change more than that, then we change how we react to it. I think a lot of people have decided they know what's happening when no one really knows what's happening. I don't even think the people doing it to some extent really know what's happening. I think they're all doing their own things, and it's a bunch of incompetent people trying to, I don't know. It's just a bunch of incompetence. Incompetent people who by their own reasoning or not lack humanity and empathy near completely. I mean, Ambrosia, that is why I keep trying to get as many people to follow here as possible. And that's why I'm reaching out to as many people in Minnesota as possible. So if things happen like that, we don't lose it all. What's up, Jeremiah? I mean, I'm trying. I wish I could do more. I wish I had a bigger audience outside of TikTok. There are some days I definitely feel like I'm screaming into the wind. Yeah, Jolly has been on a lot of people's lives. Or been just viewed by people. I saw Jolly on, I don't know if he was live or they were watching a video, but he was on Don Lemon's live too. I was talking with someone who said they were willing to do something, and I haven't heard from them since. So hopefully they're okay. They haven't posted since pretty much around since I heard from them in the first time. So hopefully they're all right. You're almost done with the Texas lady episode. You really like her? He was actually on the show? Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember. Um, I reached out to someone who lives near where everything happened, about talking about what was going on, and they said yes. And then I responded, and I haven't heard from them in, it's been over 24 hours now, almost 48 hours. So I was just saying I hope they're okay. I haven't heard from them. I'm not like mutuals with them. So I'm hoping that they've just been busy and haven't been able to check their TikTok, like, but they've been posting regularly and now they're not. So I don't know. A little nervous, I'll be honest. Where are they going to get the agents from? They're taking ideological volunteers. Silver. Jesse Ventura did an entire TV series, Minnesota far ahead of time. Don't worry if no one listens, they'll find out eventually. Yeah, I saw some of what Jesse Ventura did. I should actually have I have family in Minnesota. They're not in Minneapolis, but we should check on them. Kind of surprised we haven't heard anything from them, to be honest. It's a problem with being busy. Well, they're basically removing, basically what they're going to do is keep removing the limitations that they used to have that would prevent those ideological people from even joining at that point. So basically the quality is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. You know, removing, these ads are weird today. I'm sorry, guys. I wish I didn't have to do those. I really wish I didn't have to do those. I want to. Just weird. It's fair. Good morning, Grace. They're taking anyone as is. They aren't taking anyone as is. That's the point. They aren't. They've actually been having to turn a lot of people away that can't even pass the dumbass tiny amount of requirements that they have. That's the scary part, is they have been turning a lot of people away. The ads think you need to wash your hair. Good morning, Summer. I just found out from my mom that we're related to JFK, which is cool. But that means we're related to RFK, which sucks. Oh, Catherine. You mean RFK Jr. RFK, I'm okay with. RFK Jr., that would suck. Who's afraid of people that can't walk 10 feet because of obesity? If they have guns, I am. What are people that are ideologically crazy going to do if they know they can't catch someone on foot? Just downloaded the new update to Animal Crossing. I took the day off work and will be in cozy gaming therapy for the rest of the day. Hell yeah. Started following It's 1984 yesterday. Oh my, she's incredible. She is. Amy is an amazing person, and if you can help her pay her if you have YouTube Premium or whatever, you won't see ads. Nope, I was there. I was reading the comments before it. I just saw it right there. I'm 50 years old, female, and haven't seen a single one of them that I wouldn't climb into a kickboxing ring with. But then I took it for 22 years. That's fair. Oh, cuss words? Yeah, those must have gotten filtered. I don't see those. I don't know what. Maybe they're adding filtering. Are they adding filtering too? Oh. Hold on. Made a post in Discord. I appreciate y'all could read it when you have time. Yes. I've decided last night to get Animal Crossing again. My kid took her old Switch with my game to school. Yeah, I gotta get back into it. I haven't played in forever, and my village is gone, which is sad because it was huge and beautiful and glorious. I mean, yours came through, Angel, so I'm not sure what was said, but yes, you should check out It's 1984 if you remember her from. She's in Portland. If you remember her from the episode, and you have the capabilities, she and her kiddo are going to be basically kicked out of their house if they don't get some help. And she's done a lot for her community, and MAGA and this app have kind of screwed her over. Okay. So I had there was technically some filtering on it. We're talking the lowest of the low out of 4 different categories. It was near the bottom. I did an episode with her. She's in Portland. She goes to the the um the she goes to the detention center, and you know, all quite often. So I had her on talking about what was going on in Portland. Gosh, it has to have been months ago now. Getting out nice and sunny to take my mom to her cardiologist. This should be interesting weather for her walker. Yeah, be careful. Tell her to be careful too. I forget most. You don't need to be sorry. You put out a lot of stuff. You'll be happy to know, Kia, the thruple woman. We're gonna be doing. I don't know if she's gonna be joining this live. We're gonna be doing a co-live. We haven't figured that part out yet, but we're gonna be doing something. Jimmy Kimmel roasted the hell out of Ice the other day. That's not surprising. Be safe, Grace. Kiva! Hello, friend. Good morning, party monster. Who is that? Her name is Cam. I interviewed her a while ago. See when it was. Episode September 8th episode. If you want to check it out. Not crashing yet. Disagree. I think it's actually in the midst of crashing right now. But I understand why it doesn't seem like it is yet. We must be getting some decisions today. We'll find out. That's possible. We were told that this week probably would be getting some decisions. Keeping you Abby is pretty hard. Even the dollar is crashing. Yep. Oh, Rick. Poor Rick. What's up, Joseph? How are you? Rick is witty. So witty, Scott. So witty. We invade Greenland, we can say goodbye to coffee, to chocolate, to tech, to most things. They want to be isolated so bad, they forget that we rely on other countries. Yup. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. Aw, Jack. You learned that from your 5-year-old? Did you learn that mentality from your 5-year-old? That's a 5-year-old mentality. Y'all. My wife and I have talked about it before. We've only ever been with each other. Oh, wow. That's cool. Cry. Bye. I mean, inflation is at 2.7%. Are you going to debate? I don't debate. There is no debate. Not a debate channel. There are plenty of those out there. Go find one of them. Don't debate here. Well, yeah, because we talk about the previous month. We technically don't know what inflation is for January because we're in it. So when you talk about inflation, you say what it was in the month before. That's how inflation works. Morning, Jose. Might be lower than. Again, all inflation is looked at from the previous month. So anytime anyone ever talks about inflation, they talk about it from the previous month. So December's inflation rate. We're not going to talk about January in January. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, it fluctuates month to month, but the 2.7%, as the person in chat is correct, it's over a 1-year period.
Yep.
That's correct. And however, from month to month, obviously, it fluctuates. Sometimes it fluctuates a lot.
Why so miserable? Not. Inflation is not the lowest in 4 years, actually.
No, under Biden, it was 2.3.
Like, it's literally not. Is it lower than it was 4 years ago? Yeah, because we don't have a friggin' global pandemic destroying
Supply chains
and stuff. Jeez, people. Oh gosh. And do you guys understand that inflation rate means that everything is more expensive than it was a year ago? I mean, it's average, obviously, but it means that things on average are more expensive than they were a year ago. Not a lie.
Well, if something rises 2.7% over a year ago, it's by definition more expensive than it was a year ago.
It's absolutely truth. I love it how the people that are coming in are all like faceless people. Adjusting for inflation, prices are dropping. No, they're
What? 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 Wow. Wow.
what the actual heck are you talking about? That was hilarious. Oh, that was good. Thank you. I needed that joke. Whew.
That was pretty funny.
How do people go shopping for literally anything and really think the prices are dropping? And again,
They know full well that they're not dropping. They just won't admit it.
and again, depending on what you're talking about, there will be times where things could be cheaper. But there's a reason that they look at what the average price is for last year. There's a reason that that's what they use in general for inflation rates. Because depending on what you're talking about, things can go up and down.
And there are things that aren't measured in the core inflation rate. Take a look at your utility bills. Take a look at your homeowner's insurance. Take a look at your property taxes. Take a look at things like that. That's real money that you're paying. And of course, the big one, take a look at your healthcare costs.
Yep. Cost of what is it? Natural gas is up from a year ago. Like it's either 10 or 18%. I can't remember the number right now, but it's up a lot. The average grocery bill is up over 3.1%. The average house is up over, I think 3.4% is what I saw.
Yeah, and it's becoming a very big issue. What started in New Jersey has spread throughout the country in the New Jersey election of 2024. It's rising up there in the polling that I'm looking at as most important issues, and I've never seen utility bills rank so high in the concerns of voters, and they are, and for good reason. Electric bills in my state rose 20% in one fell swoop last June. And a few months before that, 20% increase in gas prices, natural gas prices.
Whatever it takes films. I agree. Groceries are high. That is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Yeah, and the other thing that gives you sticker shock is something you never used to really pay that much attention to is your homeowner's insurance. That has skyrocketed everywhere. Obviously, it's not just Florida. Florida, we all know about. They're having a homeowners insurance crisis there, but in the rest of the country too, homeowners insurance has gone way up.
And we do subsidize all the energy companies. We subsidize the oil and gas companies. We subsidize pretty much all of these people that are making millions upon millions of dollars, billions of dollars. We, the taxpayers, subsidize them. I want you guys to realize that. So when you say you're not paying, you're paying less, you're not. You're just paying some of it in taxes. And that's true. Gas always comes down in the wintertime too, because people travel less.
And in a lot of states, it has to do with the blend of gas that they're using too.
Yep. California is not the only one that's off the hook. Everywhere is expensive. When you're getting excited about 93% lean ground beef being at $6 a pound? Yes, Ohio is. Food is more expensive everywhere.
Laura, what will happen next, and I'm not sure that this will happen, Chairman Comer will recommend to the committee a contempt charge, but that's not the end of the issue. The contempt charge then has to be voted on by the full House, and then they go to court. So it'll be a long, drawn-out process. Now, in most cases like this, they end up settling for something. Maybe a videotaped interview with him at their home, as opposed to written interrogatories. Yeah, there'll be some kind of deal worked out. I'm sure that President Clinton and Secretary Clinton are not terribly worried about any of this.
Are we? Yeah, it's $7.95 a pound free. So that's what it is regular price for me, Shawnee. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about on sale. You get excited about $6 a pound, $7 a pound. Like, you know, it's sad when 93% ground beef is, you're getting excited about $6-7 a pound. This sounds like two separate conversations. We have lots of conversations. Yeah. Are we talking about Bill Clinton not showing up? I don't care. He's not president anymore, but if you're gonna bring Bill Clinton in, which I really don't care about, bring him in. Why aren't we bringing in everyone else who was on those files?
Yeah, and the reason I brought it up is Laura asked me a
No,
specific
I understand.
question in chat.
Someone else was asking too.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't see the other question.
But my thing is how dare those fuckers have the audacity to say anything about somebody not showing up with a subpoena? How many of them did not come when they have subpoenas out there for information about all kinds of investigations and they didn't show up? Get the fuck out of here.
Uncooked pack of wings, $27. Yeah, that's crazy. And unfortunately, right before the Super Bowl, they're probably going to be more expensive because Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Clintons will fight back. In fact, if you read the President Clinton's letter, he basically challenged the committee to do whatever they feel like doing. He'll take his chances in court, and he'll take his chance. And we'll even see if the full House votes to on a contempt citation. The Republican majority is now down to a couple of votes, so it would only take two people to flip, and this whole thing will go nowhere.
And here's the reality of all of this, of everything that's going on. Renee Good is not a CIA psyop. We're in a situation where everything that anyone does that, I'm getting a thing that I'm not kidding. Everything that anyone does right now is going to be looked at as illegal if it by this administration and anyone that supports this administration. As long as when you do it, you understand that this administration is going to look at it as illegal and all of that stuff. Apparently, nobody's above the law doesn't apply to the Clintons. I never said he wasn't above the law. If he goes to court, then he goes to court. Where did I say that he should? Did I say he should be pardoned? Did I say he shouldn't go to court? I never said any of that. I'm saying if you're going to hold one person to it, hold all of them to it.
Yeah, it's important to understand here, although I know I'm speaking into the void because you're not going to convince a MAGA of anything, that the other people were allowed to give written interrogatories and the Clintons were supposed to appear for a circus in front of Representative Comer. And they obviously took umbrage at that. And that's why we have courts. The Clintons have every right to refuse a subpoena unless ordered to do so by a court.
And even then, they have a right to do it just as long as they understand that there could and will be repercussions for it.
my thing though. They sit here and talk about they close the investigation and all this, and now and like it's a shit show because they don't want to take the orange person whose name is in there over 1,000 fucking times and have his ass sit down in front of somebody and answer some fucking questions. It's all a shit show. Who gives a fuck about whether or not Bill and Hillary show the fuck up? Why is the person whose name is in the files the most not the one under investigation? Get the fuck out of here with that. That's so stupid. Just like the whole crap when you sit here and you talk about people being illegal and breaking the law and all this and that and fraud, all this fraud stuff. Hello, where have you been? Where have you been?
Yeah.
The court cases.
Kitty agrees too.
Yes, hundreds of millions of fucking dollars. Hello. You've got an actual paper, a slip that has that man's name showing that he's guilty, that he's a felon. Come on, stop that.
Of course, the only problem with that, Kia, is that a president does not have to obey a subpoena to appear before Congress. Congress doesn't have the authority to compel a president to testify.
I'm not even talking about all that, Scott. Like at this point in time, like honestly, I'm sorry. This is my feelings. This isn't got anything to do with the fact, because I totally get and I understand that. But it's just, even if they could, they still wouldn't. They wouldn't do it. Even if they could,
well,
they wouldn't do it.
That's why I prefaced what I said, Kia, with the word unfortunately. I realized you were talking about your feelings. And I said it's just unfortunate that there's nothing we can do about it.
Brie pie. So you're saying that it's that the economy is that being groceries being 3% more expensive than they were last year, energy being 10 to 20% more expensive than it was last year at this time, housing being 3% more expensive than it was last year, and there being more people looking for jobs than there are jobs available is good. My 401k is through the roof. I'm not retiring for 30 years. Why do I give a fuck about what my 401k is doing? My 401k isn't going to help me pay my bills right now. So no one's 401k is going to help them if they are under retirement age. Your 401k has gone up 70. Congratulations.
Good for you. That's wonderful.
And
your point is?
It will pay my bill soon. Trust me. Okay. Sure it will. No, groceries aren't a lot cheaper than last year. Literally, the government put out inflation data about it, that groceries are more expensive than they were last year. Invest in silver. Do you guys understand what it means to have no money? And maybe it's probably the problem is y'all are privileged and you're not even willing to accept it. If you don't have money, you can't invest in silver or gold or stocks or 401k. None of it.
You're busy worrying about your electric bill, which is 25% higher than it was last year at this time.
No, because I'm not broke. I'll keep my money. I don't even know what the hell that's supposed to mean.
No, Grace, I'm not apologizing for my feelings. I never apologize for my feelings. I just sometimes when I'm in my feelings, and the way I've been feeling about all of this, like when I'm venting, talking about the practicalities just like makes my brain and my squirrels inside my brain go insane. It's just like, let me just be angry for a second. I hate the fact. I know what Scott is saying is right, and that just kind of makes me more angry afterwards. Just let me sit and stew in my shit for a minute out loud. But it's fucking ridiculous. All of this stuff, the hypocrisy, the disgustingness, what they did to that little kid in fucking in damn Target, dragging him out. How is this shit okay? But I heard something in a live last night that I was thinking that what somebody said, and it was in GT's live. There's this fella, his name is sometimes they call him Jamal or James. James Baldwin something, and he has this most amazing voice, and he's so smart and everything. And he was talking about something, and he was saying how, for Black folks, this stuff, what's happening now is not new. Think about what happened when they walked over the bridge, how they used to be attacked by dogs, water hoses turned on them, all of the different things that was happening. No, Jamal, James Baldwin's Rage, I think is his name, maybe. um Louis, if that's your name. But he was on GT's live talking about it, and it's so true. The thing is, it's like you have to feel your feelings and not just be scared. Be pissed off. Don't stick your head in the sand because you're scared of what they're doing. That's what they want. They want everybody to just be scared, become apathetic, and just let them do what they're doing. And we can't do that.
Mr. That's not even English what you just wrote there.
You can go away. We can try again another day.
And Laura, yes. Absolutely. Yes. You're really angry over your lack of ambition, full of excuses. Take that anger, turn it over to God.
Well, that's one way of looking at it.
Oh,
it isn't lost on me as we talk about, and primarily the discussion has been about ICE. It isn't lost on me that the person, and I don't want to name his name, the person who committed this atrocity, what does, he's being made out to be some sort of hero. He has all this on his GoFundMe page, blah, 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 blah. What does he get out of this, really? His life is ruined. He's going to be in protective custody for a long, long time. And oh, by the way, to all you ICE agents, every single one of you, what you are doing is constantly committing crimes. And here's the best part, ICE agents, you're committing state crimes. And you know what? You can't get pardoned for those. You can't get a pardon. There is no pardon for state crimes from Donald Trump. Can't happen. What are they going to get out of this? This guy? And in case you're wondering, Minnesota will be patient with this. They're not being given any information by the feds. The DOJ's division of oh Jesus, just flew out my mind. The division of civil rights has been iced out of this. No pun intended. They've been iced out of this. That's fine, because Minnesota will get all the information. And you want to know the best part? There is no statute of limitations on murder. This guy's going to pay. This guy's life is over. And you're celebrating him? His life is over. I can tell you one thing. He's sitting under guard in a ratty hotel room right now, where he will be for a long, long time, which is a prison in and of itself. And he knows damn well his life is over. Gone. So you guys go ahead and keep celebrating him. His life is over.
Federal
That's
law.
why they walk around like cowards in those fucking masks, because they don't want people to know who they are. Because they want to be able to, after they go around harassing people, they want to be able to go home and go to the grocery store and go to their kids' sports games, and no one have any idea what they do for their job.
Corey, you are
Corey,
incorrect.
you're wrong. Incorrect. How's that? Dead wrong. You are correct that there is sovereign immunity, but it does not apply at all when they are acting outside the bounds of their lawful duties, or, and I'm reading directly from the statute, or they have violated either a federal crime or acted in an egregious or unwarranted manner, then the states can do whatever the hell they want with them. And again, it doesn't really matter because there is no statute of limitations. There's going to be a Democratic president soon enough and a Democratic Department of Justice, Corey. Oops. Oops.
It's already been debunked by your favorite networks. I hate to tell you, but a network is not the law. A network is not court. A network is not anything. A network is opinion, just like your opinion, just like Vance's opinion, just like everyone's opinion. Won't be a Democrat president in your lifetime. Okay.
That's what pissed me off when I heard Vance. Look, Donald Trump is going to say stupid things. That's all he ever says. Kristi Noem is a certified moron. I get that. But it pissed me off when a guy who went to an Ivy League law school, like Vice President Vance, said that the ICE agent had immunity, complete immunity, I believe was his phrase. And the vice president knows that's not true. That's not true. Period. Not true.
There is no capability of doing martial law in the United States. Not only is it too big, but there's actually nothing in the Constitution for a federal martial law. There have been martial laws in specific areas because of specific events, but there is no way that the country could do martial law.
From the other side, they're talking about the Ford factory worker, his I'm gonna say GFM, because the TikTok doesn't like what that word stands for. The GFN that helps raise doll hairs is almost at $500,000. Saying a journalist and 12 FBI agents have resigned because of the resistance investigating Ross. The fact that they want to investigate the victim but not the person who actually unalived her is fucking insane. The fact like all those lawyers quit, I just think, to me, I just think I think that's great though, to see people standing on their ethics and actually quitting.
Yeah, I agree. And I've never heard of the Civil Rights Division not being given a case like this. This is their entire purpose within the Department of Justice. That's what they're there for. I've never heard of a single case where the Civil Rights Division was again, no pun intended, iced out of a case like they have been this time, which is precisely why those guys and girls resigned. Yet more qualified lawyers leaving the Department of Justice, which has already seen an exodus of many of their frontline prosecutors. They've all quit.
There's a question for you, Scott, on the other side from Silver. They said, where do you think this Fed investigation is going to go?
Well, I would love to say that I'm optimistic that the Department of Justice will take a even keel and a wide-eyed view of this. And I think if you believe that, you'll buy the Brooklyn Bridge. We have the other thing that has shocked me, Silver, is that you have the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, and the Director of Homeland Security, before any investigation was done, pronouncing him innocent of all charges. I've never seen that before either. But there's lots of things we haven't seen before in the last year. So add this to the list. I have no faith in the Department of Justice, and I am definitely, Mike will tell you, Kia will tell you, I am the last person who is a conspiracy theorist, the very last person. I love to debunk conspiracies. I did it yesterday on this space, and I did it on Discord with the latest whack job and this was an anti-Trump conspiracy, and it was false. And I debunked it all over. But in this case, I have no faith whatsoever in the Department of Justice, as evidenced by they stripped it away from the proper division within the Department of Justice that 100% of the time, always, the Civil Rights Division always handles these types of investigations. So it's now, this is terrifying for the rule of law, folks. I mean, it's terrifying on so many different levels. The level that Kia was talking about, level that Papa was talking about, Mike. I mean, this is terrifying on so many different levels. It almost boggles the mind. You can't wrap your head around it because you've never seen anything like this in our country before. Anything like this, not even during the Civil War. Did you see stuff like this?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Silver clarified. They said, sorry, they should have been more specific. They were talking about the Federal Reserve investigation.
Oh, that's going nowhere. The investigation into Chairman Powell? The fast track to nowhere. And besides, Chairman Powell is retiring in May. He's being replaced. The president has a right to name a new Fed, and he will. The investigation of Chairman Powell for these specious charges is going nowhere.
Go ahead, Shug.
Yep. Oh, no, good. Yeah, here's the thing is for those of you who are just popping in and just saying whatever, I don't know, whatever trendy thing or slogany thing that you think is supposed to be rattling cages. What you don't understand is that they don't care about you either. The moment you get in the way, the moment that you cross them, or the moment that you're not serving their purpose, they'll round you up just the same. And I am sad for the tune that you're going to be singing when that does happen. Hopefully you'll realize then. So you think it's real cool for you to say she F-A-F-O. Well, the same trap befalls you as well. It's waiting for you. It just hasn't crossed your doorstep yet.
Mm-hmm. And as we talked about this a little bit yesterday, Scott, we were talking about the differences and similarities between the government in 1930s Germany. They felt it. They had what, 70+% support right before it all started. It was huge. It was huge support. I guarantee a vast majority of them wish they never.
Are you talking about when they were elected in 1933?
Yeah.
No, they won with about 30% of the vote, but that's a little bit misleading because in Germany at that time, there were like 30 different political parties. They did get the majority of the vote of more than any other political party. So they took over the Reichstag. But in terms of raw vote, no, but that's misleading. We can't compare it to the United States because they had 8 million different political parties running.
That's true.
So your point is correct. They were elected by more people than voted for any other individual party in the election of 1933.
Yeah, and I just wanted to, on the other side, Garpu had said, I'm getting tired of living in the times of we've never seen this before. And I did bring it back up again. And I think about this sometimes when I leave this space. But honestly, I hope I leave you guys thinking about it too. Is again, I don't know if Garpu, if she was here when I said what I said earlier. For YT folks, this is very alarming because it has not happened to them like this in this country. But for Black folks, this has happened. There was dogs that used to attack people and water hoses that they set on people. We had to pay taxes and we're not allowed to use the same businesses and the same stuff that everybody's taxes paid for. We didn't our we didn't get to even utilize those services. Talk about no taxation without representation, right? And we're not talking 1700s. We're talking in the 19, like when in the age of like when my kid's grandmother was alive as a Black woman in North Carolina dealing with that stuff. And that's the thing about it. I struggle being biracial. I really, really struggle because I do kind of have an in on both sides because of the fact that I have both sides that are family, so I see intimately the details. And my thing is y'all YT people, y'all that look like Mike, wake the fuck up. This is why people have been screaming that look like me for so long. Like, why does it take something like that to happen to somebody that looks like you for you to finally fucking get it? Please stop being complacent and comfortable and stop not talking about stuff because you don't want to make people uncomfortable. When I hear people say I'm not confrontational, that shit drives me insane. Just because you have a conversation does not mean that you have to be confrontational. But if that's your excuse for not sticking up when you hear and see people saying and doing things that are not right, we can't rock it. We cannot rock together. You can't be in my space. You are not my friend. Just don't do it. I need y'all. I need to see people being more pissed off and angry. I need to see it. We need to see it.
Yeah, that's quite right, Kia. And in terms of what we can do, there's a lot of lessons from the 1960s and the civil rights movement. I mean, those people who crossed the Pettus Bridge, they knew what was waiting for them on the other side, and they crossed anyway. Those people who encountered Bull Connor and his dogs in Birmingham, Alabama, knew exactly what was going to happen to them, and they did it anyway. They went because they were fighting for something that was bigger than themselves. Dr. King himself gave his last famous speech that they would get to the mountaintop, but I may not make it there with you. He knew he wasn't going to live. He knew that he was giving his life to the movement, and he did it anyway. Sometimes there's, if you're going to fight for your country, to save your country, that's something that you're doing for your children and for those that are going to follow in future generations. You're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the future. Because if we don't stop them now, when?
Yep. And in the grand scheme of things, I never want something like what happened in Minnesota or in Georgia to Keith Porter to happen to anybody. In the same respect, this stuff is happening, and we knew it was going to happen. Unfortunately, we've been saying it's going to happen. I will always take people finally waking up. If something bad is going to happen, if it wakes people up, I'm glad it's happening. I just hope we use this anger and don't forget about it like we tend to do with a lot of things. That's part of the problem. We forget and we move on.
Because this is like the 33rd person that ICE has unalived dealing with that stuff. It's not just these two. It's a lot of it. But it's like it, and the thing is we can walk and chew gum at the same time, and you can be angry about more than one thing at a time. Don't be complacent and meek. Exactly what you said, Kat. Like, if they see that you're willing to just kind of bow your heads and act like you don't see it because my 401k is good, trust me, bro. Like, come on. That we know of, Ghost. Exactly. Like, I was just sitting there thinking about like what I asked the other day. Could you imagine As a child, you're sitting at home at school waiting for your parent to come pick you up, and some strange person comes in and says, I'm with whoever, your parents have been snatched away, or I'm going to take you away. Could you imagine being a child? How confusing and scared that must be. How are children looking at this? Our children right now looking at what's happening and not knowing how to understand and process their feelings and their emotions and how scared they are. That's why I'm glad to see a lot of them are sticking up against these schools, because I mean, come on, we already traumatized the fuck out of our kids with damn pew pew drills on a regular basis. Is that what we're going to do next? We're going to have armed people with masks on their face coming and snatching their classmates out of class and stuff? Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. What happened with that lady in that porta potty?
That was disgusting.
What happened to her? Did anybody care to fucking check? Do we know? Was she raped? Did something happen? Was there a, hey, if you do this, a quid pro quo, if you do this for me, we'll let you go type of thing? Is that what's happening? It is fucking disgusting. It is just, oh my God. It is just, oh. I sometimes am angry with myself that I had children and brought them in this damn world, because it scares me to know when I have grandchildren what kind of fucking place they're. It's already, we have to have the conversation about, you're black, these are the things you have to be careful of. I wish that white people understood what that felt like. When your kid goes off to drive and you have to give them all these warnings, all these things you have to tell them. Don't look at certain people a certain way. Don't say a certain thing a kind of way. When you're in a car and this happens, behave this kind of way. Just do what you're gonna do, what you're told. And that shit is just, oh.
Yep.
I just don't, I just need the passion I see, like, it has to keep going. Every single day, we cannot stop. That being said, make sure you are taking mental health breaks. Take care of yourself. If you don't take care of your mental health, you cannot be the best version of yourself for anybody if you're not okay. Just keep in mind, imagine what it's like. The fucking Supreme Court of the United States said that you could use what somebody looks like, the color of their fucking skin, to stop them. But this is the greatest country in the fucking world. The United States of America is so great. Everybody wants to come here. Come the fuck on, please. North Carolina has already started stuff, getting ready to start doing stuff so you can get your mail-in ballots for primaries and stuff. Y'all, I need y'all to lock in. Lock in. Pull your heads up out the grass. We can put it in there sometimes when we need some space, but nothing pisses me off more when I see YT people talk about they just can't handle it. All the time, I understand, don't watch it, but read, because that is white privilege. Sitting there saying, I don't want to know about what's going on because it makes me feel bad. At some way, you have to know at least what's going on. Please stay aware.
Hi, Rose. Just so you know, it's nothing against you. We don't bring up people we don't know. So if you want to ask your question in the chat, we'd love to talk about it. If you stick around and become part of the community, we'd be happy to bring you up in the future. That's just, especially this day and age, we aren't a debate channel. Like, it's not what we do. So we are very particular about who comes up. So it's nothing against you. We just don't do that. You're right. The current inflation rate is 2.7. Thank you.
Kid. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. The current events are obviously distressing, to put it mildly. What equally distresses me is the entire concept here. The concept, for the first time in our nation's history, of creating some sort of national type police force that has no parameters, no jurisdiction that we know of, no guardrails in terms of their operating with or without state agencies that are primarily designed to handle these things. This is very scary. I hate to use the word Gestapo because it has so many prejudicial analogies to it, but it's very much akin to that type of nationalized police force, which we've seen in a great many other countries, but it's antithetical to the American experience. And that has implications that are really far reaching, and I don't think people have really thought that through yet. Certainly, the Department of Homeland Security hasn't thought it through, and I really wonder if the American people have thought it through. This has long-reaching implications that go far beyond ICE and go far beyond the current troubled moment, and that's the thing that worries me actually the most.
And I want to again point out to the people that do things like that say things about it much better than 9. Well, 9% is much better than 18%, which is what it's been in history, or 12%, which is what it was in history before that, or 13 or 12. Like, you can pick a time when almost every inflation was better than the inflation before. The fact is, not only is inflation not the 2% that they're trying to do, it's been going up since its low, which is 2.3%. But it means it's also 2.7% higher than it was a year ago, which means everything that we're spending is more expensive. That's the point. There's a reason. This is hilarious. Okay. All right, no picture, dude.
When it's time to make a change.
Yeah, and the other guy said, cry more.
Mix things up.
See, and he's making my point. He is one of those people who is intellectually incapable of seeing the broader issues here. And that's what scares me.
Of course,
Is that
inflation can be zero. They don't want it to be zero, but of course it can. It can be negative. It's not good for the economy, but it can be. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Scott.
No, that's okay. I was just saying that guy is exactly the point that I was trying to make.
Yeah.
I don't think the majority of the American people are even aware of what is occurring here, that this is something new in the American experience. We've been around for 250 years. We've never had an organization like this. And that's going to lead to far-reaching consequences that as yet can be unforeseen.
I wanted to harken back to something that Kia was saying earlier when she talked about people sitting by or sitting not taking any action because there's uncomfortability associated with it. It's uncomfortable being unalived. That's very uncomfortable. It's extremely uncomfortable, and this is what we're talking about and what we're dealing with. The thing that most people are failing to realize, especially when it comes to folks where you get this, cry more and all of this stuff, the thing that you're failing to realize is that for folks like Kia and I, this is a lived understanding and a lived experience that ends with your family members, sometimes your own uh, existence being at risk. We're not talking about just some mean things being said. We've been dealing with that. We're talking about you as a person being whisked aside and not being respected, that they will go to the extreme lengths of unaliving you to accomplish the mission that they want to accomplish. That's what's at stake here. You think it's a game, you think it's cool, you think you're being edgy or whatever, coming up here just saying stupid stuff. No, your life is literally at risk. You need to understand and take it from us who understand what's at stake here. This is not new. It might be new to you. You might not have seen it on this scale, but this is not new. This has happened. It just hasn't happened because you have the complexion for the protection.
That part.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
And I just want
Hey,
to
morning.
say that comment that was up there a while ago, Scott, I would almost say we have had something like this before in our history, but again, it didn't affect people that looked like you. We had slave catchers who actively went out and we don't even need to go into there. But again, this all harkens back into things have happened to certain groups of people in this country. And I think that's such an apt name because it's exactly like what they would do. Any black person, they could just snatch them up and say, oh, you're an escaped slave. Like literally what they used to do. It's just not on the same kind of scale. And there wasn't people with cell phones to record it. And there wasn't an internet to share it all around.
And the difference here, Kia, you're right. There's an analogy there, but the difference here is that this is as a matter of national policy through the administration. This is nationwide, and that's a pretty key difference.
And I want to piggyback off of Suge and Kia. You know, I didn't know about it when I was growing up in the early 2000s, but I remember this happening very vividly, and I didn't understand it. But you know, that's where I first learned about my privilege because I'm a YT person. But I had a friend, and they were dark colored. They were biracial, but they were dark colored. You know, they had curly hair, fro, everything like that. They looked black. And the thing I remember going out and doing stuff, their mom always used to say, you need to be careful hanging out with those kids. And she would pull me aside. She goes, nothing against you. I love you. You're great. You're wonderful. You're a nice person. It's nothing to do with you and what you're doing. But if my son does the things that you do with his complexion, one of you is going home and the other one is not. And you have to be very well aware of like what that looks like. And you know, going out and hanging out and just being kids and, you know, at certain hours of the night or certain times of day or in certain places and stuff like that, you know, I watched him get treated different, especially from authority figures. You know, we get pulled over in a car, you know, she's like, I prefer you driving over him driving at nighttime, but I prefer you never drive at night because it's a lot more dangerous for him than it is for you. You can't go to the same neighborhoods. You can't go to the same stores. You can't go to the same things. You're allowed to be there legally, but it's not the same experience. And you got to respect that. And I didn't understand that at first. I thought his mom was just strict, but, you know, that's a real thing that people have to worry about. And that was the first time I got the wake up call. And, you know, even then I still get that privilege that other people don't.
Well, and to piggyback off what Kia said, Kia was actually going to give the example that I was actually going to give. I'm glad she did it though, because I'm sure I always love learning from Kia. But the modern day Gestapo was created and modeled after slave catchers in the USA. So it is an experience that has existed for a long time in the USA, and other countries have utilized that as a model for them to go terrorize people within their countries. And I think it's important for all of us who look like me and Mike to really get with that and understand history, because I genuinely don't think a lot of us, and that includes here in Canada, we're taught a lot of this stuff. I'm sure it was an intentional thing, because it's important that we understand that this is a lived experience for everybody who doesn't look like us. It is normal for everyone who doesn't look like us. And I think it's super important that if we want to ensure that this doesn't continuously repeat in history forever, we, all the people who look like us, have to get with reading books and understanding all of the history, not just the propagandized stuff that's been given to us to showcase the, I hate to say this, whitewash history that we've been given. So, because until we learn better, we're never going to do better. and it's frustrating, and it makes me angry because I have heard people, even myself in my own circle in Canada, be like, well, but all of this stuff going on in news upsets me. I'm like, it should. And if you can't run from it, it should upset you, but you're not angry enough, and it doesn't upset you enough because you're not doing something about it. And if you're not doing something about it, then what use is it?
I would I would say I agree that we need to be that people need to be taught history, specifically children, because I think the problem with a lot of adults now is that they are, especially adults that look like me, is that they are too comfortable in the privilege that they have been that they have been grown up with and taught that they had. That's why you get all these people that are like, America is so great, the American privilege or the American exceptionalism kind of idea. And I think what we're dealing with now is, even if you could show them documents from the time that showed that this happened, and they still wouldn't care, because in the end all they care about is their privilege, their comfortability, their happiness. When you have a group of people that don't see a whole nother group of people as human, it doesn't matter what part of history they hear. It doesn't matter. Now, is that everyone? No, of course not. But I think that's part of the problem that we are dealing with, is a lot of people in this country. It's not just that they don't know it. It's that even if they heard it, they wouldn't believe it.
You know,
Like the. Sorry, Key, you go first.
I kind of take this back to Thanksgiving time, when members in all the communities, this one, Bex's, other spaces, and I brought up the whole thing about Thanksgiving and the fact that, and kids were in school, we're still teaching the kids, they're still doing quote unquote, I don't even want to call them Indians. I hate that term.
Indigenous people.
But that's what in school they still say, Pilgrims and Indians. And like that shit bothers me. And people, and like when I was talking about why the whole idea of Thanksgiving bothered me, the pushback I got was, well, that's our history, that's our, and I was really frustrated. I was so frustrated, and it took me a while to process. Because if y'all in our communities that say that we believe and we're on that same level, y'all also have to step outside that, oh, this is what we do because it's tradition. Traditions are not always the best things for other people. Like that shit, like I'm gonna tell you, like I struggle with that. It makes me, when I say I struggle trusting YT folks sometimes, that's the kind of stuff, because you guys still don't see that in front of your face. It's so much about but this is what, this is the, if you're not willing to engage in the truth of what's behind it, how do we expect other people who have all these other crazy ideas on top of it to ever have the right concept of what is just I
You hit
really
the nail on the
need,
head,
and
Sharikia.
I really hope that y'all, I mean, it is so unfortunate, and I struggle I have an internal struggle sometimes when I tell you, like I came out of a YT woman, you know what I mean? And it's just so many things. Like my mom doesn't vote, and that just on so many levels I have so many issues with that. And I just we have to understand, if we ourselves are not willing to have the uncomfortable conversations and change our quote unquote traditions because that's what we've always done, then we're not going to get forward. This shit's going to happen again. We have to, like, I find, because of the fact that I am biracial and I do walk in these spaces, I am more able to speak freely than I see in other spaces. And if y'all realize, like, there's not always, you're going to find somebody that is a person of color that wants to engage in these spaces where the host is YT, a majority of the chat is. They don't want to engage in that. And I find myself like torn to do that, because and then I feel bad if we don't bring up race stuff, but I need people to understand, just snatching brown people up and assuming because they're brown and speak a different language is fucking racist as shit. When you have Gnome on fucking TV said, well, they don't speak English, the United States of America does not have an actual freaking language. We do not have a centralized language. Imagine telling a country that's literally been stolen from the indigenous people by immigrants that this is going to be the actual language of this country. That is racist, y'all. That is racism. I will not
100%.
call her by her name. She's a gnome. I'm sorry, Captain. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I mean, I agree with you. One of the things I was always told is that traditions are just peer pressure from your ancestors. And if you're not going to be peer pressured to do bad things, you know, in like high school and stuff like that, right? Why do you allow the peer pressure to continue to felicitate what you do? You know, it's what we've always done. It's what we've, you know, built our lives on and stuff like that. Like, I grew up around a bunch of, like, you know, hillbilly hick kind of people who were like racist, and that was their culture, and that's who they were, and that's how they operated. I didn't want that for myself. I didn't want to be in that community. And it's, you know, that's the thing where you have to look at something and think, well, it's not just because it's always been done and that's how it's always been going to happen. You know, we used to ride horses and they were cool. We used to use candles and they were cool. You know, times change, things change, and, you know, technology changes, but with technology, so does sociology and psychology. We cannot continue to stay where we are and expect things to get better. We cannot go back to how things were and expect things to get better. You know, we're not going to go back to using horses and then suddenly everything's going to be better for. Of course, they're still used. Of course, they're still used, but there are other options. There are other progressions. You know, we're talking on a phone right now. We're talking on a phone right now with the internet. We didn't use that. We're not sending letters to each other. This isn't happening in a town hall. Oh, you ordered the third wave? Good for you. What I'm saying is that things change. Whether you want them to or not, things change. And if you don't accept that there is going to be change or that change can occur, then you're going to be stuck where you are. And if you're stuck where you are, then you're never going to get better than what you've always been. And when it comes to bad actions, habits, and ideologies, then what's going to happen is we're going to be stuck always perpetrating that. And for people, you know, if you can say, I'd love to get in a time machine and go back in time, and you can pick any time you want to go back to, then you have a privilege. Because I assure you that anyone who's a minority doesn't want to go back past a certain point in time, because it gets worse as you go further back. That time travel is a privilege of YT people. Let's put it that way. And that sounds silly and that sounds goofy, but that's a reality.
Cap, can I qualify that and say time travel is also a privilege for YT men after a certain point? There is a whole...
Absolutely.
Yeah, like it... I think we have to look at this as steps. The first step is all of us need to recognize the past, recognize our history, recognize all of it, not just the parts that have been taught to us that aren't actually very accurate. We have to admit there's a problem and we have to go back and look at it. We can't move forward if we don't know what's been done. Reparations
Absolutely,
can't
I
be
agree with you
made.
100%.
Yeah, like reparations can't be made if we don't ever acknowledge all of it.
Yeah. I always say that I have an insane privilege as being a YT person. The only place in history I can't go to is the 40s in Germany because of the family that I keep, because we'd be getting number tattoos on us. But even then, I'd still have an immense privilege over anybody else. And me not acknowledging that and saying, hey, I've got it good, is so absolutely disingenuous, and it hurts my soul, it hurts my heart, it hurts me as a person. But if I don't acknowledge that, then I'm no better. You can't tolerate the intolerant.
Here's the thing, and I'll keep saying it until it changes. Every period in history where we have had progress, we have had a point where we're something similar to what we're going through now. Every single time. It always happens. There are people that are in privilege. There are people that are comfortable with the way things are. There are people that are benefiting from the current situation. And there are people that are just bad people, depending on what time of year, what situation you're talking about. Every time society as a whole, and I think what we're actually seeing is a world that is going to move forward, not just this country, because we are a more global society than we've ever been before. I think you're going to see a massive snapback. Right now, you are seeing conservatives not want to lose what they see themselves losing. That is why you are seeing it ramp up. The more afraid they get of losing what they have, the worse it will get. It's which is why sometimes people say it snaps back. Because what happens is they end up pulling so hard that there's that line. There's that line that every time something like what's happening in Minnesota, what will probably be happening in other states and cities after Minnesota, every time they get more scared, they will take it up a notch. Every time they take it up a notch, it will wake up more people. You will hit a point where they will wake up so many people that it will snap back. Not that it's going to make us all feel better now, not that it's going to make everything seem fine, but just understand there's a reason that I keep saying it's going to get worse before it gets better. Because these people the people that are in power have seen this happening. You know, we say this has been in the works since Reagan. Well, yeah, it's been in the works since Reagan because they saw where it was going and they didn't want it to go there. So they've been slowly trying to prevent the direction that it's been going from happening. And they've been slowly going farther, all the way until now. And where that snapback will be, don't know. Hopefully, I would love to think it's not going to get a whole lot worse. But I can't control what will snap more people out of the, get all of their heads out of the sand. I can't, there's no like obvious line. And there never is, because every person is different and everything people will experience things differently. Like as you know, Kia rightly so is complaining, is upset about the fact that white people that look like me are this is something that Shug and Kia and people in the BIPOC community experience all the time. And it's frustrating rightly so, that when someone like Keith Porter experiences something like this, there's barely anything. And when a white woman experiences it, there's massive outrage.
I want to do a mod thing right quick. I just happened to look up. I know we've been engaging in an amazing conversation, and I just looked at the likes. Y'all, 12,000? Come on. Can we get to tapping that screen while we're listening to this amazing conversation? Thanks so much for gifting the host and gifting the panel as well. It's very, very much appreciated. If you didn't hear the purring, my gifts all go towards feeding the kittens that I have. The cats outside that I feed. But keep tapping that screen. Thank you for the amazing engagement in the conversation in the chat on both sides. It's very much appreciated. Sorry, Shug, go ahead. I saw you come off mute.
Oh no, you're totally fine. It's just what you all are describing is absolute power corrupts absolutely. Okay, and here's the thing: as much as this is the reason why I hate the stupid comments that are made when we're discussing these things is because you're effectively denying the reality that we're living in. It's always this idea of, oh, they're crying about it. Oh, that no, nobody's crying about it. We are directly telling you what the lived experience is. And let's be very clear about this. This is not a problem that we created. We didn't start this. We didn't begin this. You want to get mad when we don't want these statues up and these flags simultaneously don't want to hear us talking about it. Who wants to be reminded of that? We'd love to stop talking about it. And as soon as you stop doing it, we'll stop talking about it.
Mhm.
But as long as it's our lived experience, we're going to talk about something that we're living. I'll give this example. So, as Mike knows, and as most of y'all know, I stream on the Purple app. Well, it was at a certain point, there was a numerous, it was very common to have what is called a hate raid. Effectively, they would pick someone in the BIPOC community, and then they would go and bring people to that person's channel, and then they would spam some hateful message. Now, mind you, I'm streaming my platform, okay? I didn't invite these people. I didn't know these people. And they come in and they tell me that people like me should be at the bottom of the sea. And the message was a little more vulgar than that, but I'm trying to, you know, acquiesce to the TikTok language. So don't sit there and tell me that I'm complaining about it. I'm telling you what happened to me in real time. And this wasn't no 400 years ago. So let's somehow grant you, oh, we're not that way anymore, so to speak. Oh, slavery is a thing of the past. Okay. What about just a few years ago? That was just a few years ago. What about that? This is why we're telling you, let's deal with now. Okay, sure. You want to leave the past in the past? Great. What about right now, though? What about the active hatred that is taking place in the lived experience now? Answer that. You never have an answer for that. You're always going to go with, they're crying about it again. No, it's not crying about it again. It is telling you that what you're doing is jacked up.
Yep.
And that, yes, your folks that look like Mike, yeah, this is why it's important for folks that look like Mike and Tiffany and Cap to say, hey, no, you can't do that. No, that's jacked up. No, I'm not going to stand for that. It's just like if my son does something and Kia says, sure, your son did this. Then guess whose responsibility it is to clean that house up? That's my responsibility. That's not Kia's responsibility. We can take care of ourselves and have very well, despite the terrible conditions that we were here in this country under. but y'all got to get your people because they're the one perpetuating this nonsense. We're not keeping this cycle alive. We don't want this cycle alive. And especially because we know what it feels like. We know what that life experience is. We don't want this happening to anyone else.
And that is the exact reason why I will always say it's all Christians until it's no Christians, that it's all men until it's no men. Not that there aren't good people on any of those. It's because if I'm willing to call myself a Christian, then it's incumbent on me as a Christian to fix the problems that I see in Christianity. As a man in this society, it's my responsibility to help work on fixing the problems that men have in this country. It's not women's fault, it's men's fault. Women's job is to protect themselves, especially if men are the problem right now. So I completely, yes. Which is one of the reasons empathy is so important. That is what empathy is. Like that is why empathy is so important. The whole purpose is I, as a white person, can sit here and listen to Shug and Kia and Tiffany when it comes to women's things and hear them, maybe not understand them, but hear them and learn from them and accept their perspective, their experiences, not perspective, their experiences.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of Shug, because I gotta
Hold
follow
on,
you over
Kia,
on
were you
Twitter.
saying something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Think Kia.
No, I typed it in
Okay.
in chat. I just think there's a misunderstanding happening in chat between a couple of our community members, and I was just, I think it's just we have to remember that sometimes things get blocked and muted that you don't see and filtered out, and we only have a certain amount of space. So sometimes things get misconstrued. Things get, oh my God, I got filtered so bad in Bex's damn live. I almost threw my phone this morning. And I was talking about going through a drive-through in a restaurant and I got filtered. So I know it's a heated, heavy conversation we're having, but I don't want us, especially on TikTok in here, where Lord only knows where half of your comment has disappeared to in outer space for whoever knows what reason. I just don't want that. I don't want that to happen. That's all.
Yeah, and just to kind of caveat on that, hey, this is an excellent reason why things are better on the tube. That character count is diabolical. It does things like Kia said, that filtering and that blocking is rough. So please consider going over to the tube, and it'll help the conversation flow a little bit better.
And yes, my handle's the same on there. And I will even just quickly add to that, and then Captain, you can jump in on your thing.
Yeah, sure.
We need to understand that the conversations that we're having are extremely emotional, and especially depending on how much conversation is happening in this chat, there can be a lot of things going on, and it almost makes it easier. So as much as to misunderstand and potentially even say things that can be taken, because text is very easy to take incorrectly. So this is one of those things where we need to understand that a vast majority of the people here, especially the ones that are talking consistently, we're on the same page. We've got the same fundamentals. So when you see someone talk and you feel something, and again, I'm not getting on anybody for responding the way they do, because again, I didn't notice it. But unless someone looks like they're talking to me, sometimes I just glaze over it because I figure they're having a conversation and I don't need to be a part of it. It is very easy on text to misread what someone is saying. It's very easy. Even if you misread it just a little bit, sometimes the response can come out incorrect. So what I ask everyone to do is when you're in here and you're having a conversation with someone in the chat, if you see something and you feel a certain way, sit on that for a bit before you write. That doesn't mean all the time it's not going to be obvious. There are some that are blatantly obvious. But in general, especially if it's someone you've seen here for a while, has been here for a while, sit on that for a little bit before you respond to them. See what they say past that, because it's so easy to misread. It's so easy to misread. I do it, and I'm sitting here just reading. Luckily, I can talk. So I can be like, is this what you meant? And then sometimes they go, no, that's not what I meant. And then we're like, okay, we're good. Like I said, just remember, we're on the same team here. We're not going to agree with everything. We aren't. This is an emotional topic. These are all going to be emotional topics. But we're on the same team. Our end goal is still the same. Just like I say, this community lives on that line in the sand that all people, no matter your race, religion, gender, or identity, deserve rights, respect, dignity, and safety. If you believe that, I am willing to have a conversation with you, even if there are things that we don't agree on. As long as you're not going against that. If you go against that, I'm going to have words. We're going to have words. But if you believe that, if that is part of who you are, I'm okay that you're going to say some things that I disagree with. I'm okay with that. Would I like it if we agreed on everything? Of course, but that's just not reality. Kia yells at me either vocally or just in her head, probably daily. And she's family.
I was about to come for you when you said complaining, but you caught yourself and you checked it. I'm glad you caught that. Just to let y'all know, when you talk about, if you're talking about BIPOC people, talking about their experience, and you say complaining, that's white privilege. You got to stop yourself. Mike caught himself when he said that.
And again, we're going to make mistakes. These are not easy conversations. And you know what? If I said it and Kia got on me on it, I would have said, you're right. And I'm sorry. And we would have moved on.
Why don't you go ahead and say that? You were right, Kia. Go ahead.
What?
Kia, you were right. Just go ahead and just
I'm
say
sorry,
it.
you're glitching out. I can't.
Kia, you're so right.
Kia, you are indeed right. See how easy that is? Wow.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
It's funny. I can't hear anybody in the panel right now. I think there must be something wrong with the internet.
Man, yeah, TikTok's just glitching out. The weirdest times.
Maybe it's your headphones. Did you check them? Are they plugged in?
What?
I'm sorry, Sarah. If you answer Tiffany, you just failed.
I won! Yes!
We needed that little break.
We did.
That.
Indeed.
Comedic relief is so important sometimes.
Thanks for getting us up to 26K. But y'all, we got like 30 minutes left. Can we hit 50? That's my challenge to you. Also, Clara had to step out on the other side, so she asked if I would do the commercial for the other side. For those of you guys, if you don't know, we are also simultaneously streaming over on the Tube of You. Same name as up there, same profile picture and everything. As you know, you're not as filtered over there, and you have a much longer space to engage in a conversation. If you have it on a bigger screen, you can also see the chat from the other side on the screen. So you're not actually missing anything, but you can say what you'd like. All I ask is when you come over, please make sure you hit those thumbs up, the engagement on the other side. That's what tells the Tube of You that we enjoy what Mike is doing. Make sure you're coming over there, checking out the podcast. He's got some medium length videos, longer length video content over there. So definitely make sure you're checking out on that side as well.
And also, just so you know, my goal, for those of you that are new, my goal is to interview as many people running for office as humanly possible before the midterms. I've already posted 2 this year. I've already recorded 2 more. I got another one today. I got another one tomorrow. I've got probably 3 or 4 more, and I've got like 10 more in the works. As well as other people that I'm going to be talking with. I'm going to be talking with a musician. I'm going to be hopefully talking with someone who lives in Minnesota. I would love to get James Tallarico. If any of you got in on that, we're reaching out to everybody, but I can't force people to come back on that one. But if, like I said, for those of you that are new, I would love to do this for a living. I would love to do this full time. For those of you that are like, I see you all the time. I do this for 2.5 hours, and then I do a recording here and there, and then past that, I don't do this full time. It's not that I don't want to. It's that it costs money to do like, I have to live. And as much as I would love to be able to do it, I can't without your support. So I understand that money's tight, and I would never tell people that you have to give. If you have the ability to give financially, I appreciate it. Every single donation, sub, I appreciate them all. But watching my stuff and sharing it with people can do just as much, if not more, because if you watch the entire video and if you share it with people, it helps push it out to other people, because you want to know if somebody that I know says I should watch this, I'm more likely to watch it than if the suggested thing comes up on my tube screen.
Rosa, independent, Dem, either one. You can, but what did you say, Mike? Your microphone broke up for a second. Your mouth would look like it said, Kia, you're right, but I didn't hear the words come out.
Sorry, what was that?
Those headphones aren't working again.
So I do want to bring up the other side.
Sorry, I told Captain that he could talk, and then I kept talking.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I don't run anything here, it's fine.
Okay.
But what I was going to say, and I'll make it brief so that Kia can get to the other side of things. I wanted to piggyback off what Papa Sugar was saying about the Purple app, because I also stream over there, and I was around during that time, during the hate raids. The most vile, disgusting, awful things that a human being could possibly say to another person was happening at that point in time. It was an absolute disgusting display of the worst things you could think you could say of someone. I'm talking whether it was racial, religious, feminism, anything like that. It was so bad. And what they were doing is, not only were they raiding and doing all this stuff, and for those that don't know what raiding is, it means you're going to go into someone else's channel and bring all of the viewers that you have with you to that channel. And so these people automated it to bring in a bunch of racists and misogynists and all this other stuff into people's channels. And they would say all these vile, deplorable, awful things, call people all these awful names, and then, to top the cherry on the top of the shit cake, they would then report that channel for not moderating, because it's really difficult to moderate hundreds of people, and then that channel would get canceled, and then they would lose their platform. And for some people who do streaming, they are trying to, like Mike was saying, make a living of it. They would lose their channel, they would lose their revenue, and now what ends up happening is you have you know, someone you've not only demeaned them as a human, but now you've destroyed their stream of revenue, and it was awful.
Yep.
And it got to the point where the Purple app had to institute specific things, because they weren't just doing it when people were live. They would go into chat when people weren't live and saying those things, and then reporting it for non-moderation. And they're like, oh, look at all the awful things they're allowing. And then you would get labeled as that horrible person allowing this to happen in your channel. I remember we had specific buttons. We had a bunch of like community members from all different streams like coming together to kind of come up with like the creative ways to block it. We had, I still to this day in my Discord have the list of all the people that were involved in that. It's like, block all these people, never let them have a voice, because if you do, they're just spewing hate. And I think a bunch of them got banned, they got it under control, but that was a problem for, and Shug, maybe you remember more than I do. My memory's a goldfish sometimes. I think that happened for like 2-3 months straight of just every single day you didn't know if it was going to happen to you. I had it happen to me numerous times. It was just vile.
That's accurate.
Vile humans.
When Shug and I were singing together doing singing, I had a button already prepped to just shut chat down, because it was a very commonplace, especially for people who were getting the numbers like I was getting at that time, to have just massive bot chat raids saying some of the worst things on the planet, and they'd hit some like smaller new creators, and those people would have like breakdowns because they wouldn't know how to handle it. And it's like, it's just disgusting. It's disgusting.
And they were doing the PayPal thing for a while too, where they would give someone PayPal, acting like a nice benefactor of sorts, and then because of how PayPal does things, they would redact that payment back.
Yep.
The person would either get charged for it or whatever it was, or they had spent money that they didn't have that they thought that they had as part of the creation. So imagine if you're, gifting chat here, like you're gifting someone a donation or something like that, and then you take it back like a month later after it may or may not have been spent or what have you. And it was awful. I don't know how people come up with stuff like this, because I could never.
There was a period, and I'm sure Shug remembers it. It went around everyone who was a pretty much consistent streamer that if anyone gave you a donation, like a gift like that, you held on to it for 3 months before you spent it for that reason, because they had 3 months to flip it around and get it back.
Can you imagine that if someone held on to your paycheck, quote unquote, not quote unquote, let's be real, it's a paycheck for some people. Can you imagine if someone had held on to your paycheck for 3 months and you didn't know if they were going to take it back from you? Deplorable.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which is why a lot of people,
for sure.
Which is why a lot of people would, even though it was better, we got a higher percentage of it. A lot of people that were on the Purple app didn't want anything but subs or bits, which are like jewels here on TikTok, because those
lower percentage, higher guarantee.
Well, it's just they couldn't be clawed back. You just knew they weren't coming back. You were getting that money.
It's a higher guarantee that you're going to keep it, and it's not getting taken away. It was less in your pocket, but it was a guaranteed amount.
Yep.
And so we say all this and all that to bring it back to the original point, is that this was only like a couple years ago, and that was happening en masse on one of the larger, platforms, still large platform. And it was happening to such a scale that it had, the only reason it changed, the only reason they did anything is because it was affecting the pocketbooks of the people at the top. It was a financial burden to them and a liability for them for what was happening. And that's the only thing that changed it, because it affected them directly.
Yep.
It wasn't because of what was being said necessarily. It wasn't because of how many people were doing it. It was because at the end of the day, dollars for donuts, it affected the dollars.
Well,
and that was the problem.
And unfortunately, we know that's the case because for those of you that don't know, the Purple app does a thing called has a convention every year, twice a year technically, one in California and one in Europe. And this year, this last one, one of the partnered content creators was basically assaulted. And
I remember she got assaulted. Yeah.
And that they knew who this person was, and they gave him a 3-month ban from Twitch.
That's it?
That's it.
Wait, can you say that
And
again?
he was a known stalker. He had numerous evasions of ban, and then he went to one of the conventions. The convention denied her bringing her own personal security for quote unquote liability reasons. That dude went there, did deplorable things, and the only thing that they did was give him a light, we're gonna be real, a light tap on the hand and said, no doing that for 3 butts, shame on you.
Yeah. And people obviously were pissed off. Oh no, they didn't. There was no arrest. There was nothing. They basically banned him from the convention and gave him a 3-month ban on the Purple app.
And that,
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Y'all talking about the incident at TwitchCon?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. That's yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page.
That's part of the problem. The total lack of accountability. In so many ways, the lack of accountability when it comes to big companies, when it comes to you having conversations and relationships with your friends, like, and your family members, then the fact that you just say, well, I don't want to say anything, I don't want to cause any problems, and you just allow them, there's like no accountability. Start showing people what happens when you do bad things, and maybe people would stop doing shit.
I mean, she luckily had her own security. Twitch, the security at the convention did nothing. He just walked right up, and if she didn't have her own security, who knows what would have happened.
Oh, Tiffany, she said she's never ever going to do it again.
Oh yeah.
The only reason she was even there was because of like pressure to be there from like, I don't know if it was like sponsors or something like that. I don't remember the exact, and I might be misquoting it or misremembering it. So if I'm wrong, someone let me know. But like, if I recall, she was there because of like some sponsorship pressure and like pressure from like people to be there. And then everything happened. She's like, I do not care. It is not worth the money for my mental health and well-being and physical well-being to risk something like this ever happening again.
You are seeing less and less big partnered streamers going to places like that for that exact reason, especially females.
And that, bringing back to what Kia said, and that's the whole point. There's no accountability, and these men are never held accountable for what they do and the terrorization they are doing to women creators. It's already a scary thing as a woman to be a gamer. The things that we end up getting filtered in our comments, the things people say to us.
Oh yeah. There's this one content creator that I watch, Sasky. She does Call of Duty. She posts videos that like she's on video chat with the people she's playing with, like randos. And the stuff they say to her is absolutely disgusting.
Yep.
It's absolutely disgusting. I've been trying
Me and my wife both do it, and I moderate for her, she moderates for me, and the moderation that I have to do sometimes on her end is that is so extreme. Like I thought I had it bad. Oh boy, I always knew it was bad, but like visually witnessing like the degeneracy of it is just like, how do you wake up and decide that's who you're going to be and how you're going to act? Like soap in the mouth would be the least of my worries if I ever spoke like that to anyone for my parents.
Oh yeah. It is crazy what some of these people say. Like, it's not even entitlement. This is some of the stuff
the things we can't say about the things that go on, all I can say is that do your research and look this stuff up. But I'm going to say it with caution because it is actually disgusting. It may trigger some people.
Oh, it will.
If you're going to look this up, do it with absolute knowledge that this is what we're saying right now is not even a 16th, a 100th of how bad it is. When I say degenerate, deplorable, nasty, disgusting, awful, horrendous, vile things, that is not doing it justice to what some of these people say, do, and how they act. The images they send, the stuff that they give, if you think getting a random unsolicited pic from a gentleman who you're dating and take that for what it is the worst thing that you could possibly imagine, you are incorrect. That is nothing in comparison to some of the stuff that these people send, the messages that they include, and it's a lack of accountability. It's just privilege, entitlement, misogyny, and just the worst rhetoric. And it's just the things that you don't see if you're of a certain group. I don't see stuff like this. I see it because I see what they do to my wife, but I don't see stuff like this on my end. And that is, it's a godsend as well as a privilege, but don't be blind to that stuff. Holy moly.
Yeah,
They get banned and they do get banned and then they come back with a different profile. It even has a program now, Likely Ban Evader, that warns you when someone comes in the chat that they evade bans by switching IPs and switching their VPNs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Shug.
Oh no, you're totally fine. Yeah, I was just, I guess it's like when you just look at these things in totality. I'm sorry, my wife said something and it just kind of derailed me. It'll come back if it's important.
Okay. Well, perfect, because I was supposed to have spoke after Kat way long ago, and then this whole thing started coming about this. So on the other side, going back, sorry, but Stu had brought up something that's important. He talked about the fact that his wife and child are brown and scared about what would happen if they come to the door. Make sure you're having those conversations with your family, especially those of you guys who are in areas where the cubes are actively engaging in bullshittery. Please have those conversations with your kids if they're old enough. Make sure they know not to go running open up the door and all of those kind of things. That's really important for their safety, for your safety. Don't be looking out the windows. Don't be looking out the front doors. Just try to stay abreast of what is lawful in your area. Please make sure that you guys keep that kind of stuff in mind. Make sure you're having those conversations. Make sure you're having those conversations with your children if they're old enough, what to do if they're seeing things, or if they have questions about what's going on. Make sure you're having conversations with them. Make sure we're not trying to hide this from our kids per se. I don't think the kids should see everything because some of it is just graphic, but having conversations if they ask what's going on. Hey, Jennifer. But yeah, that whole Twitch conversation kind of threw me off the rest of it. But I remember that because I still had that comment pulled up on my screen. And the other thing is talking about accountability. Look at the person who is in control, who is the leader of our country. How do you? It's amazing because when you're sitting there trying to tell your kids not to do certain things, and then you can say, but the president of the United States is such and such and such and such and such and such and such. There's a whole the absolute lack of accountability is why we have these people that feel like they have the power because they have masks and badges and shit strapped to their uniforms or whatever to do what they're doing to all these people. And it is just, I hope, if anything, I've been hearing a lot saying that people, even on the other side, are pissed off about what's happening. That, you know, quote unquote, we didn't vote for this, even though you kind of did. But people are seeming to like wake up and realize what's happening. You know, that your skin color is not necessarily going to protect you anymore. And I think that kind of shocked a lot of people who have for their whole life been content, complacent, complicit, and just downright damn silent and allowed all this stuff to play out. This stuff did not just happen. It's been happening for years, for decades, and it's just coming into play.
Um, I want to say it because I think it's important to say when you said they say they didn't vote for this, well, they kind of did. They did vote for this. They may not have thought about the outcome when they voted for this. They may not have comprehended that this was a possibility when they voted for this, but they need to realize and accept that they did vote for this. Now, I think there are ways that we can tell them that in a way that they won't potentially, pull away and no longer listen and not grow out of what we hope they are growing out of. But those, in the end, everyone who ends up getting upset needs to understand that if you voted for him, you voted for this. If you voted for anyone in the Republican Party at this point, you voted for this. If you didn't vote, you voted for this. Now, again, that may make you uncomfortable. You may get upset. You could scream and yell at me all that you want. That doesn't change the fact that many of us, everyone here, said that this would happen. We told you that this would happen. That may not have been in the forefront in your mind. That doesn't surprise me at all, Edgar. Goodbye. That may not have been in the forefront of your mind when you voted. You may have been thinking about something that may have been extremely valid. I'm not even going to argue. I can't sit here and tell you what was going on in your brain. But that does not change the fact that voting for him, for whatever reason you did, still ended up voting for this. That's just the reality of it. You vote. That's why we tell you how important it is, why voting is important, and why doing your research before you vote is important. Not because we want to get what we want, but because your vote, if the person you vote for wins, you are partially responsible for everything that person does. It may be a tiny bit. It may be one of 700 something million people. But your vote helped get that person into office. So like it or not, you are partially responsible for that reality. That's why I say I regret the votes that I know that I made that in many cases could have gotten us to this point. Not because I meant to get to this point, but because I know that who I vote for, I'm responsible for who I vote for.
Mike, I know we're wrapping up short. I have a small thing to say to that point for you. When you put your finger on the trigger and you pull, whether you like the outcome, that bullet has to go somewhere. And you can't take it back. That's how important a vote is.
Yep. Yeah. And again, there are people that didn't vote that want American society to crash. We also need to understand that. There are people on the right that want what is happening right now to happen. There are people that are on the far left that want this current situation, that think that what we are going through is necessary right now to have whatever world they want. That's a reality too, as crazy as that sounds and feels. But if you care about all people that are living in this country, in this world, it's incumbent on you to be a part of it. And part of being a part of this world is talking about what's going on in it. Good, the bad, and the ugly. And again, that's why I'm interviewing all of these candidates, all of these progressives. Some of them are just amazing candidates. And I'm going to be pissed off if we end up voting incumbents in all over the place again. I'm going to be pissed off. I have a video downloaded of some supposed think tank that is trying to scare people into voting for progressives because they're telling people that are technically more towards the center that if you vote for a progressive for president, then JD Vance will be president. That's what they're saying. Straight up, already. It's not even presidential election time. And there's already videos out from I don't know, support, according to them, they're center left think tank. How does that make sense? It's the fear mongering. It's fear mongering. They've been told that the only way to get, if you want JD Vance to be, they've literally said, if you want JD Vance to be president, vote for someone who is like Mamdani, who thinks like Mamdani. Yes, I know who Peter Thiel is.
I've seen like several videos about that, and it drives me bananas.
Ezra Klein? Let me guess. Ezra Klein? I don't know. I mean, Ezra Klein's not the one who said it. I've never heard of this group before. They didn't even have many followers or anything. Like they weren't a big account. But I mean, here, let me find it. You guys can just hear a second of it.
Hey, and while Mike is finding it, listen, champions, we just want to go ahead and encourage you all to tap that heart above Mike's head, tap the nose, support the video. Great content here, great content on the tube of you. Go over there and support them. Champions, if you have not, which would be an egregious thing, please go ahead and click those black boxes. Send those heart me's, collect all the free things that you can. It costs you nothing. Terror free, as our good friend Scott likes to say. Click those things. Do it. Make it happen, my friends. And also, as Scott also loves to say, is we don't know the future of this app, go to the tube of you. Support Mike over there. Same name, same great face, same great conversations. So if you like what we do, keep supporting what we do. That's it. We love you. Appreciate you. Terror-free, Vonda. You got it.
Terror-free. All right. So this account is called Third Way Org.
Are you ready for a Vance presidency? Because that's exactly what we'll end up with if we nominate a far-left Mamdani-like candidate in 2028. The November elections proved what we've been arguing for months. The Democratic Party has to choose which project is more important, turning blue places bluer or turning red and purple places to blue. We know that focusing on the latter is the only way to defeat Trump and far-right extremism. History has shown that a moderate approach is the way Democrats win. Hear me out. Since 1980, Democrats have only won the White House once without winning a supermajority of moderate voters nationwide. So what does that actually mean for us? Mamdani won just 36% of the moderate vote. Take that and extrapolate it nationwide, and the results are bad. Like, bad. Compare that to moderates like Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger, won more than 60% of the moderate vote. Just look what happens when you apply those margins of victory nationwide. That's the difference between electoral ruin and renewal.
So here's my response to that, and things that we're gonna have to deal with from people. There is going to be an assumption by people that are center. You can make arguments whether they're really center left or center right or center whatever, center down, center up. This is fear again. Remember, and this kid looks like she had to be like in her 20s, like early 20s. But anyways,
Real quick on that one, Mike. I know it. Is it the video, the brunette?
Think so.
YT girl?
Yeah.
So I don't know this yet, but I've seen a few people look at it. The quality's really, really not good on it, if I remember correctly. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I think a few people have already said they. Don't quote me on this. I think a few people have already said that this looks like it's been an AI thing that's been put over top of it with one of the generated voices, because the picture quality is intentionally falsified to look like bad. That's why the quality is so crap. I don't know. That's just something that's been up in the air, because if it's the video I'm thinking of.
I mean, it's definitely possible. The reality, in the end, whether or not it is AI, it's going to be an argument that we're going to hear a lot from people that may not be afraid of change to the level of MAGA. They're afraid but they are afraid of the change to the level of some progressives, because they are still benefiting in some way, shape, or form from the current system. The thing that them and a lot of other people do not seem to understand is moderates. I think the fact is we don't know. Here's the reality. We all have a world that we want to see, okay? We all have a world that we want to see. All of us. Our job as voters is to vote for a world that we want and for people that we think will be best to make that world that we want. That's our job. That is our job. And that job happens at the primaries. And the general election, it's the one that is the closest to getting the direction that we want. But you make your decision on what kind of a world you want in the primaries. And that is something that we have failed at in the end. Now, again, could everyone be right that if we had a Mamdani style candidate who won in the Democratic primary not win? They may be right. But here's the reality is that too few of the country has ever voted in the primaries to really be able to make a statement like that. That's the reality. That's the reality. 20% on average, 20 to 25% of the country votes in primaries. When only 20 to 25% of the country votes in primaries, not even the country, 25% of the parties.
That sorry, Mike, when you played that, all I could think of was, oh my God, this is JD Vance just created his own propaganda and played it as a left wing idea. Honestly, to me, and this is obviously coming from somebody who does not live in the States, that was literally the worst attempt at propaganda I think I've seen probably ever. It sounded literally like, well, JD Vance, if he's gonna win if you don't do this, la, la, la. It's bullshit. It is absolute bullshit. And I think anybody who really looks at it.
No, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and I, to an extent, I agree. But also, this is common. This has been common for decades. I mean, there's a reason Martin Luther King Jr. said that some of the worst people for the progression of civil rights were moderates. because moderates always want to slow things down. The fact is extremists on both sides don't want to slow things down. The direction that they want to go fast is just different than the direction that more progressives want to go. That's the big difference. It has nothing to do with the not wanting. So progressive or moderates tend to not want to move very fast at all. Far left, far right want to move fast. They just want to move fast in a different direction. So I'm warning everyone that this is going to be probably commonplace for the next few years. And again, this is why I will say it is more important than ever that we have the largest number of people. If you are unaffiliated, but you believe that the current Republican Party is bad, and you see that there are progressive that believe what you believe running in a Democrat, become a friggin' Democrat for a little while. It's not going to kill you. It's not. I know that there's going to be a part of you that hurts because I've been unaffiliated my entire life that I can vote. There's a part of you that does not want to be associated with any party, and I feel that to my bone. All right, yeah, I'm about to get off too, but thanks, Captain. But get out and vote. Become a Democrat if you've got to for a little while, and then change back, or just become one. It doesn't matter. You can vote for whoever you friggin' want in the general election. If someone's running under the Democrat ticket that you like, just become a friggin' Democrat for a little while and do your best to get them to be the candidate, because that's the only way you're going to do it. If your goal is to get people that consider this a part of the Democratic Party, you have a better chance of getting someone who's more towards the middle. So the real question is do you want to change the country, or do you want the status quo? If you want to change the country, get your butt out and do something.
Sorry, I was going to say for everybody in the audience, because I know you're getting off, it might be important for you guys to kind of look, because obviously our last election, we had very similar circumstances to what's going on right now for what will be your guys' election. And what Canadians did is that we did what was called smart voting. So maybe for everyone in the audience, please look up what smart voting is, how Canadians did it, because that's how we made sure that we got a not a leader that would placate 100% to the orange tangerine tyrant and his demands, because it was a deep fear here. So it might be something for them to research about how we kind of went about doing it, because I did sign up to be part of the Liberal Party, because to me, making sure that we had a good leader to lead that party to win was important. I'm not a liberal. I'm a liberal in the sense of the true definition if you look at it in the dictionary, but I'm not necessarily, I don't consider myself affiliated with any party because just like you, I believe it's important to go with the party that will align the most with the values that I have. But yeah.
A two-party system does not polarize in its own right. A two-party system only polarizes when you live in a society that lives and breathes identity politics. Because the fact is if you look at the people running, even in the Democratic ticket, they're not all the same. In a different country that doesn't have two parties, there's probably 3 different parties that are running just on the Democratic ticket in some places. But again, people don't get out and vote because they're so obsessed with not wanting to look like they're a part of a party that they don't do anything about it. So while I hear you, it's still our problem. We've got to stop associating ourselves with a party in the sense of if I have to be a part of a party to vote in the primary, but there's somebody in the primary that I think is good, then I'm going to friggin' become a Democrat just to vote in the primary. Just do it. Stop being stubborn and do it. Again,
You know,
when I just want to say this again, when only 20 to 25% of a party votes in the primaries, you can't say that we've been doing the work, because we haven't. Sorry, go Shug. Shug?
Yep, I'm here. Sorry, I hopped in my car and then it kind of rerouted to the car and all that. Yeah, so I just wanted to make a point. For those of you who don't know my history at all, I'm still not affiliated with any party. I have voted. I voted very scarcely, like within effectively the orange one. That was my first time voting in general, period. Because ultimately I was like, I don't know about all the rest of the votes per se historically, but I know for him specifically, I was like, we can't have that. That is one we can't have. Um, I don't particularly, from when I of being voting age, I don't particularly remember a candidate that I looked and I went, hey, I may disagree with them on a lot of stuff, but I didn't feel like their goal was the downfall of society or that they were going to be tyrannical. Okay, but for him, I was like, nah, ain't no, ain't no way. I'm not. I refuse. I refuse to sit back on this one. So ultimately, I'm saying that to say this: even if you decide, and hopefully you do, but you deciding to vote for one way or vote this person or whatever, that is not you abandoning your beliefs or what you stand on. And it doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything that that person says or does. It's just, as Mike said, fundamentally, we should definitely be looking at people who are looking to make society, to make a country better. And if that's what you need to vote with. And you can effectively look at this current one that we have now and then, even well before he was even looking at anything political. He's never been a good dude, period. He's just never been a good dude. You got to at least be willing to stand against that type of person.
And I want to say again to this, doesn't matter right to far right equals Republican, mid to left equals Dem. You are doing the same thing that you are complaining about our politics doing. You are identifying people. You are putting people within identities. And as long as you keep doing that, we are going to keep having the exact same problem that we have. This has nothing to do with Republicans and Democrats. This has to do with human beings. There are people running in the Democratic Party in the primaries right now that have said everything that I guarantee you, I'm not sure how, Ian, is that how you say your name? Have said that you want the country to become. Maybe, I don't know what your views are, but I guarantee at least a good chunk of it, they have said that they want to do. They have said they want, I can guarantee it. And they're running as a Democrat. But if they don't make it past the primaries, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So get off your high horse, get out and vote to change this country. Stop being super ass stubborn. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for the likes, the shares, and the gifts. Thank you for getting to 50K. For those of you that tapped all the way and did all that, you guys friggin' rock so much. Again, please make sure you go. Oh, rattled? No, not rattled. Just I'm usually done 15 minutes ago. But, you know, thanks for playing. Anyways, make sure you go check out all the videos that I'm posting pretty constantly over on the tube. It really does help out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys are amazing just the way you are, and I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile, do something that makes you happy. Bye, guys. Bye-bye, YouTube.